Yo guys, what's going on? My name is Ryan and welcome back to a brand new video on HFSGP News, and today we're going to be taking a look at just how the rookies did for their first round in the MotoGP season at Qatar at the Lusail International Circuit. So before we actually dive into the action and see how they got on, let's take a look at just who the rookies are for the 2018 season. MotoVDS have two brand new riders for the 2018 season, signing Moto2 runner-up Tom Luthi, who right from the start on his first day on the MotoGP bike in Sepang looked very comfortable, getting a P25 in Malaysia, P21 in Buriram, and then the final test in Qatar, he managed to bag himself a P24. So the Swiss rider will be definitely looking to score a top 20 in the first round. Alongside him in the MotoVDS camp is the reigning Moto2 world champion Franco Morbidelli, who right from the start, just like Tom Luthi, looked very comfortable on his RC213V, bagging his best position in Qatar and also Buriram in P13, where he actually finished just a 10th behind his boss, Valentino Rossi. Now, over the last few months, it's been quite tricky for the Tech 3 Yamaha team with the announcement of Folger, who will be leaving the team, and they needed to find a brand new rider, and they have brought up Malaysian Syahrin, who very much like the two MotoVDS riders, impressed from the first day out, and he bagged himself a P16 at the final test in Qatar and will be looking for points. Over at Lucio Cecchinello's LCR Honda team, there's a brand new bike out for 2018, and that is ridden by Taka Nakagawa. The Japanese rider had a very promising start to his 2018 season after ending the first test at the end of 2017 in Valencia in P18, before then bagging himself a top 10 in Buriram, but then things went a little bit wrong when he went to the final test in Qatar, so he will be looking to rectify them mistakes that he made throughout the 3 days in the first round of the season. The final rookie of the 2018 season is Belgium's Javier Simeon, who is on the Avintia bike for 2018. Now, the Belgian rider has had a very tough start to 2018, being right down at the bottom of the timesheets, and he'll be looking to make steady improvements throughout the 2018 season. So we're going to start off with the top rookie for the weekend in the race, and that was Franco Morbidelli. Managed to bag himself a very good P12, and just going to take a look at all the stats before, going into the race weekend after pre-season testing. So Valencia, the first time he jumped on the bike, P17. He wasn't last, which was very good for him. Sepang, P20. Obviously struggled a little bit with the bike and the Honda package and that around Sepang with the long straights, and just struggled with a few little things, but then picked up in Buriram, where I briefly mentioned he was only a 10th behind Valentino Rossi, and then also in Qatar, a P13, where he managed to get a 1 minute 55.132 in the bag, and he actually matched that time as well in qualifying, where he actually managed to give himself a P14 on the grid for the first race of the year. So pretty good going from Morbidelli, and things got a little bit better though for him in the race, because he was like lapping pretty decent. I mean, at the start of the race, he was about 0.6, 0.7 off the leading group, like per lap time that was. And then obviously as the tyre got worse and the race went on, he got about 1.2 seconds off per lap off the leading group off their lap times that they were doing mid 55s. So overall, a very promising weekend for Morbidelli, and give him the confidence that he needs to then go even better in Argentina, and then hopefully another good race there will give him even more confidence, and then go even better in Austin, and just build up that ladder of confidence and get himself up there. And obviously at the start of the race, he was lapping in front of Lorenzo and also Maverick Vinales at some point of that race. So just to be ahead of two factory riders for a little bit, that will give you a little bit of promisement as well. And maybe if Morbidelli hadn't been so aggressive at the start, getting past Lorenzo and Maverick, if he just held back a little bit, then he might have been able to challenge for a top 10, because the tyre life might be a little bit better if he held back than what it actually was at the end of the race. But overall, for Morbidelli to bag 4 points in his first race, and also he finished ahead of some big names, some guys, experienced guys, Carol Abraham, Bradley Smith, Parla Spargo, obviously he broke down, but he also finished ahead of, Aleix Spargo, Scott Redding. They had issues later on out of fuel, and Scott just had issues all weekend as they were running a brand new engine and things weren't going right for them. But Morbidelli, to finish in front of them, factory teams and some very experienced riders, I'd be very happy with the job done at Qatar, and he should be, because honestly, he did really well. And he finished, I haven't got this stat down, I was meant to, and it was the one stat that I forgot. But Morbidelli, he finished 2 seconds off the top 10 over 22 laps. So that in itself is a massive achievement, to be 2 seconds over, you know, what was a 22 lap race. Like I say, that's about 0.2 a lap. You're off a top 10 and you're a rookie. So very impressive stuff from Morbidelli. He finished ahead of the next best rookie, like directly ahead of Syahrin, who, again, you have to just be absolutely, you know, gobsmacked with this guy. He jumped onto the bike for the first time in Buriram at the start of March, end of Feb time, for his first ever test. Obviously, he missed Sepang and also Valencia, so he had about 5 days less on the bike than what everybody else did, and he ended P22 in Buriram. All right, yeah, the position's not great, but he was ahead of Karel Abraham and also Simeon, but ahead of Abraham, and he's had experience around MotoGP, obviously, as well as a new circuit for everybody, so it was a bit more level. But P22 for Syahrin in Buriram on his first time on the bike, the first 3 days, and then he showed that level of maturity, just getting to grips with everything and getting better and better at Qatar, because he was P16 in the test, and he set a time of a 1 minute 55.273. And then throughout the weekend in Qatar, he went just a fraction bit quicker, because he did a 55.258. So, again, it showed that just give him a little bit more time, he can get a little bit quicker. Even though, yeah, okay, it was only about 20 thousandths of a second he went quicker, he still went quicker over the weekend than what he did in the test. So he's just getting a bit better and better as he gets to grips with that 2017 M1 that he is actually on. And that time that he set, 55.2, that gave him P15 on the grid. So, again, just like Morbidelli, very impressive. And they weren't too far as well off the Q2 time, getting into Q2. So, I'd be happy with the job that he did over Friday and Saturday, and then the race especially. We'll move on to that in just a second. But for Morbidelli and Syahrin to be, you know, inside the top 15 on in a qualifying session, that in itself is an achievement, and you know, you've got to be really happy with the job that they have done. So obviously P15 on the grid, he was ahead of Maverick Vinales for a little bit of the race as well. So to be ahead of a factory Yamaha, obviously he was saving tyres, but even so, when you get past the factory Yamaha, that's going to give you a little bit more confidence as well, and just make you go a tenth faster or whatever. It just boosts you up a little bit, get you like, yes, I can do this sort of thing. So P14 in his first ever race, that's 2 points on the board for Syahrin, and that is bloody impressive, because again, he finished ahead of some big names, you know, Redding, Espargaro, Abraham, blah etc, Luthi and Nakagami as well, who has had, like I said, them 5 extra, well, Luthi hadn't, he has 3 extra days in Sepang, because obviously he missed the Valencia test, but Nakagami as well, who had a very impressive pre-season. He was the top rookie in most of the pre-season tests, and then Qatar, we'll move on to him, obviously went a little bit wrong for him, but Syahrin was really good. He was only about 0.8 to a second a lap off the leading group throughout the race, so overall be pretty happy with the job that he'd done. You know, he finished P14, 20 seconds behind the leader at the end of the race, which again is impressive in itself to be, you know, just over 20 seconds. It was 20.2. So if you can get within 20 seconds of the leader in your first ever race on a MotoGP bike, I would be pretty impressed with that. So the next best rookie was Tom Luthi, bagging himself a P16, just outside the points for the Swiss rider. His tests went a little bit like this. So he missed the Valencia test, obviously due to the injury he got in Sepang for the Moto2 weekend, which unfortunately for him, it lost him the championship because Morbidelli was crowned champion Sunday morning before the race had even begun. In Sepang, his first time on the bike, he was P25, Buriram P21, and then Qatar P24 with a time of a 1 minute 56.122 at Qatar, and he improved that time by 1.2 seconds over the weekend with a 1 minute 55.381 in qualifying, and that crashed him. He crashed an FP, and that obviously didn't hold him back, because then, like I said, he improved his time by 1.2 seconds and qualified 8th in the session, so P18 on the grid. So pretty impressive from Tom Luthi to knock that time off his best time in testing over the weekend. Obviously, maybe in testing he didn't go for a kind of full light qualifying simulation, you know, bike situation side thing, but obviously he was good because, you know, P18 in QP, and then he just had a good race in general. You know, he was he was just under a second off the points. So again, that in itself is again another great achievement. The rookies, all of them apart from one, has done really, really well over the weekend because they've shown, you know, signs of improvement, and they've shown that signs of getting confidence, and they've shown that they can, you know, fight for points as we get on throughout the season, and they get closer and closer to the top 10. Morbidelli, obviously, he'll be in the top 10 fairly quickly. Syahrin, I reckon, as well, he'll be inside the top 10 pretty soon as well. Luthi will be probably around the top 10, 11th, 12th for a bit of the first half of the season, but I reckon the second half, if things go well, he'll be able to get inside the top 10 as well. So that was Tom Luthi. Got himself a P16, finishing, like I said, just 9/10 behind P15, which was Karel Abraham, I believe, got the final point on the board. Yes, he did. So very, very good stuff for Tom Luthi. And he was ahead of the LCR Honda Idemitsu rider, Nakagami. Now, it was a bit of a strange weekend for Nakagami because he had a crash, and we'll get onto that a little bit later. But Nakagami, his testing went a bit like this. Valencia, P18, he had a crash there. Sepang, P15. Buriram, he was in a P10, which was a bloody impressive. Again, it was very impressive to be inside the top 10 at the Thailand circuit. And then Qatar, it was P21. Things went a little bit wrong at Qatar, like I briefly mentioned in that little bit of an intro video that I did for the rookies. So, obviously, things weren't looking too great for him. It was a 55.5 he did in the weekend, well, we're testing at Qatar. The weekend he did a 55.6, and I was expecting him to be around a 55.1 maybe. I mean, what was Morbidelli's best time? A 55.1. So I reckon he'll be around 55.1, maybe creep into the 54s. But unfortunately, like I just briefly mentioned, he was like looking promising to fight for the top rookie, but a crash on the second day of the weekend really knocked his confidence. He was floating around, you know, the positions you expect him to be, crashed, then all of a sudden he was like last and just really off the pace. But the most important thing, you know, for me was he improved throughout the race. He started the race in 23rd on the grid, so pretty much second to last. And he just fought his way back through, got himself a P17. He was 1.2 seconds behind points. But more importantly, like I said, that was 22 laps on the bike, going round at 100%. And that just in itself will really boost the confidence of Taka Nakagami. And I reckon he will definitely, but like I said earlier with Morbidelli, he'll be fighting inside the top 10 or just around the top 10 very soon if he can just get that level of confidence back up and get to where he was in Buriram in P10 and also Sepang P15. If he can get inside the points, that would be very, very good for the Japanese rider. Now, rounding out the analysis of the rookies is the Avintia Javier Simeon. So, obviously, he's here because we can only assume, and it is like 99% true, he's there because of his money. You know, he showed absolutely shocking. I think it was like 23rd or something in the championship in Moto2 in 2017. Is here because of his wallet. So we just have a look. P21 in Valencia, P22 in Sepang, P24 in Buriram, and a P23 in Qatar, and with a time of a 1 minute 55.943 in that final test at Qatar. And unfortunately, I'm shocked. He went 6/10 slower over the weekend. A 56.5 was his best time in the weekend, and that was in qualifying. And obviously, as you can imagine, with a 56.5, he qualified last, and in the race, he was last 46 whole seconds behind the leader, which was Andrea Dovizioso, who won by just 27 thousandths of a second. So 46 seconds back. He was 10 seconds off the guy in front of him, which was Scott Redding, and he had a problem. And then he was 12 seconds behind Aleix Espargaro, who ran out of fuel. So, honestly, I don't know, like, if Simeon, I don't know. That's ridiculous. Like, 46 seconds. That's like 2 to 3 seconds a lap slower. And I honestly don't know if he can find 2 to 3 seconds a lap to, well, I mean, not 2 to 3, a second a lap, let's say, to then bring that down to, say, 20 seconds to put him, that would have put him in P14. Or even just half a second just to bring himself into like 18th, 17th, something like that. I honestly don't know if Javier Simeon can find that, because the track conditions over, you know, Friday, even in FP2, qualifying was obviously a little bit dodgy with the sandstorm. But to be 6/10 off your lap in testing, that is pretty poor, to be honest. That is pretty poor, not going to lie. And I mean, we can sit here and say, you know, the track conditions on Saturday wasn't good. You know, the front 3 riders were under lap record on Saturday, so the track was obviously good. And more, well, Simeon, more than likely, he's not going to get off last. More than likely, he's not going to get off last. So, it's a shame to say that, because he is just wasting a seat for somebody who has the potential to fight for points on that bike with his teammate. Rabat was 11th, you know, 15 seconds off the leader. But 46 seconds off in P21. Alright, he finished the race, but P21, 46 seconds off. Nearly 47 seconds off. It was 46.7 seconds behind the leader. Like, that is just a bit embarrassing. He must just be horrible to ride around on your own at the back. So, honestly, I don't know what Javier Simeon is playing at. I don't know if he can find any pace. I honestly just don't know. But that was how they got on in Qatar throughout the race, and also their if they improved on the lap time from testing, and also if they improved on confidence. And I'm going to guess they all did. Now, before this video ends, let me just get my paperwork all sorted. I'm going to go through and I'm going to rate them out of 10. So, Morbidelli, I think 9 out of 10. Easily 9 out of 10. He did very, very well. Luti, Syahrin, again, 9 out of 10. It's bloody impressive to have, like I said, 5 days less than Morbidelli and that on the bike. Well, 5 days less than Morbidelli, and to finish 4 seconds behind him and also get 2 points on the board is impressive. And he finished like I think 4 tenths. I think that is, my math's not great. 4 or 5 tenths behind Bautista. So really, really good from Syahrin. Luti, I give him a 7 out of 10. The crash just knocked him back a little bit on Saturday, but he managed to pull through and get back on Sunday. Nakagawa, again, I think I might have to be a bit harsher with this and say 6, because the weekend was going well until that crash, and that let him affect him, and you can't let these things affect you. See, Marquez, he crashed like 20-something times in the season. Navarro crashed 30 times in a season. And, you know, you can't let them affect you. You see, Marquez last year, didn't affect him. Won the championship, no problem. So, yeah, you just got to let these crashes not... And I know it's hard, it's easy. Well, it's easy for me to sit here in this chair, in this room, talking to a camera, you know, light microphone on, and say you can't let these things affect you. But when you're crashing at 100 and something an hour, it can easily affect you. So, Nakagawa, yeah, 6 or 7 out of 10, 6.5. Let's go for a 6.5. I might be harsh. I know, I do think I'm being harsh, but I think I'm being a little bit realistic. It was that just poor crash that really affected him, and he just can't do that. And the Simeon, I'll give him a 1 out of 10 for staying on the bike and finishing the race, but 46 seconds back, not negotiable, in my opinion. It's just no, you can't finish 46 seconds back. Yeah, you can sit there and say he's a rookie all you want, but so's Morbidelli, Syahrin. They got points. You know, they finished inside, or Syahrin's case, just outside 20 seconds. That's 20 seconds. Well, 30 seconds in Morbidelli's case in front of Simeon, and they've had exactly the same time. And it's a Ducati as well. You know, we saw Ducati win the race, so. Okay, the bike's not the same. He's on an older bike, but we've seen Ducati be running at the front for 3 years. Vizioso got second before he eventually won it this year. So, I honestly don't know what Simeon has got to do to get himself back up there. But there we go. That is it for today. Bit of a different kind of video. And, yeah, I'm not sure whether or not you guys want to see a little bit more of this throughout the other classes, the Moto2 and Moto3. Maybe get Jamie in to do the Let's Talk with me. We'll have to wait and see how things go throughout the week, because we've got F1 and World Superbikes this weekend. So pretty hectic weekend for the channel. So there we go. That is it. Let me know down in the comments how you think they've done. And if you want, you can leave your rating out of 10 for each rookie down in the comments. And there we go. That is it. So one thing left to say is, if you haven't seen the latest video that went out earlier today, Zarco and the Repsol Honda rumour, make sure you go and click that. I'll leave a link in the description so you can go and watch that. And I shall see you guys next time. So until then, I hope you enjoyed the video, and goodbye.